find people you can talk to, whether it's a therapist, whether it's, counselors, whatever, friends, family, just a little bit out each day of like actually expressing what's going on, what you're thinking. You're never a burden for doing that.
Yeah. So you sought out you sought out help
Hmm. Hmm.
and that helped you like get through that process and everything like that.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean,
Yeah.
and not that it was like an overnight change, and not that it was like I mean today, like I still see like I'll give her a plug. My friend Amber Boselman, she's a life coach with SMA. I see her. I have sessions with her regularly, and that's been extremely helpful. And like and so even when in times where I feel like things are going pretty well or when they're bad, like having someone to talk to and and open up about like, oh, this is what's going on with like disability stuff or with work or with friends and family. It just yeah, that's been extremely liberating, and that's not something I did enough of when I was younger.
Yeah. When you were going through that process, reflecting off of that particular moment, do you think it could
Hmm.
have been preventative if you seeked help prior to or done something a little bit differently?
That's a good question. I mean, like I don't regret having that meltdown at all because like it was like necessary to come out, but like I don't know, like I mean, because again, I think a lot of my frustrations were there was like like not so much like feel well, I mean, there was I mean, I think every disabled person will feel burdensome at some point.
Mhm.
Whether it's and that's not a like, reflection on anyone's care. It's just it's hard to avoid those feelings at some point. You're just gonna be like, because especially if you have people you love who are taking care of you, it's like you're like, oh, I wish they didn't have to, something like that. Wish I could do more, that kind of thing. So it was things like that, and then but I think a lot of like, that meltdown was a lot of the result of yeah, not having the kind of independence that I wanted, and that does not mean like, oh, I wish I wasn't disabled. No, it was just like I want more like more outside help, more independence in that respect. Like, and so it was actually a good catalyst for starting those conversations and figuring that out. But I mean, it's hard to say if there was even a way for me to have had more caregivers or like started that process earlier. Because again, it is a complicated process, and oftentimes like even the best doctors are not educated about that, and that's something I think they should be. It's not
Mhm.
their fault, but it's just like that's something that's a systemic issue that like caregiving like here in our system is so complicated, and I mean we have friends all over the place who are just fighting for basic like like need that I because I mean in my mind I think like every SMA person should be eligible for around the clock care if they want it. Not everyone will need around the clock, but they should be eligible without question, and
Mhm.
too often they have to fight tooth and nail just to get 20 hours a week or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it's more like systemic issues there. So I don't know if I had had caregivers earlier on, what that would have done. But I don't know that would have changed anything because it's like if I hadn't met Randy, that would have been like, I can't imagine that. Like he's been like, instrumental person in my life for over a decade. So,
Yeah.
and same with the other caregivers I've had. Like I wouldn't really want anyone else. So yeah, I don't know that I would have like changed anything. That even if it had led me to having more people earlier on, it's like I mean, I was still, and I was like, what? I mean, when I had that meltdown, I mean, I was like 19, I think, like that. So I mean, I was
Yeah.
still very young. Like it was like, I mean, I'm 32 now, so it's it's very like
As
common
much as
or
like as much
yeah.
as it happened, and maybe you oftentimes sometimes we wish something didn't happen. It
Hmm.
in a weird or roundabout way needed to happen.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, and that's why, again, like I am not oh, I want to be like cured of my disability. It's like I don't really have that mentality. I mean, I'm big advocate for, research and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm on an SMA treatment, but I'm not so much about that. I'm more fighting for disabled people to be respected and to have the accommodations they need because I mean I don't think disability itself is inherently a tragedy. It's the way society is not set up for us, and that's what makes it harder. But yeah, no, as far as like that incident and what it led to, like no, I'm very grateful for all of that and how it played out. And like I said, I think because I was so young, it's very common for when you're like person at that age to go through big crises, big like a lot of emotional pitfalls and ups and downs. Like that's just very human.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my experience at 21.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, so literally right after my experience, I was actually on your podcast like I think 2 months later or something like that. It was crazy.
And what was it like? Just kind of a like a mental kind of
It was
crisis or
it was
what?
like
Like,
it was like a complete mental collapse where I under
mhm.
needed psychiatric care. It was uh
Yeah, yeah,
it was a journey, a process, and
yeah, man,
but like as much as like it was an ugly experience, it was bittersweet. It's bitter because
yeah,
of
man.
what happened, but it's, you know, in a weird way, it needed to happen because like ultimately it led me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
in a weird way. So you talked about like church a few times within today's episode.